If you try to be a perfectionist and find nitpick every little thing, then you'll never finish anything as an artist, because our expectations are all really high.
Welcome to Set Life, where we tell stories from our industry. I'm Kelly Leger, and this is Amber Buto.
Welcome back to Set Life, where there's the best podcast. If you aren't following us on socials already, please go look us up. Instagram, everywhere. Drill. But I'm your host, Shider Davina, and I don't know why they let me back in here, but we're here. And today I get to introduce you guys again to a different set of friends. They're newer. I think the previous episode are my best friends I've known for so long, but this time these are also my besties, but we've only known each other for 2 months, but it feels like we've known each other for forever. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
This is Justin and Kirby Betancourt.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Welcome to the studio.
It's our first time here. It's beautiful.
This is awesome. This is insane. So cool. Such a cool spot.
Yeah. Welcome to heaven. Or
we're in the clouds.
Yeah, aka Hotline Bling set sometimes. So
we just make all the LEDs turn pink.
That's the vibe. But I met Justin over Instagram.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Started following each other. And then for some reason, I got prompted by God to hey, you need to reach out to this guy. And literally, I came off pretty hot. Man, we need to work together.
Yeah, literally, you're like, hey, let's shoot together sometime. Ironically, I was talking to Kirby at that moment. I was like, man, I wish I could find a crew of people.
True story.
Yeah, it's seriously, I was like, I just want to work on some projects. I want to do some cool stuff, find a crew of people that are like-minded, find your group. Literally within the hour is when you hit me up. And I think we've been following each other for a month or two.
Yeah, so you're wrong. Yeah,
and we'd never DM back and forth.
Never. I don't know what he looks like. Yeah, just watching the story.
Meant to be.
Yeah, so crazy. And then we had a mutual friend. Shout out to Ryan from Fellowship Coffee. That's kind of almost like the bridge. And yeah, we actually met up for coffee there, and we talked for hours. Yeah. And I remember Kirby saying Jay said it feels like you're just an old friend.
He came home and I was like, how did it go? What did you think? And he was like, it's bizarre. We have so much in common. Yeah. We both played music and just all the things that y'all related on. It was kind of crazy, because he was like, it's really exciting to be connected with someone that is also hungry and eager to be on fire in the industry.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love that. I feel like we're always just parallel to each other, and we just had someone had just hey, we need to meet. We need to make these paths cross. And we actually did a music video together. Like Justin mentioned, I want to direct country music videos, and but he's a director. That's the goal, right? And I'm funny enough, I have a project that's lined up.
Since you mentioned it.
Yeah, I don't like to. At this point in my career, I don't want to work by myself. It's not as fun.
Yeah.
I've seen the ceiling of solo filmmaker, solo photographer. It's wearing so many hats. One is I don't think it's sustainable. Two, it's not as fun. I just want to work with my friends. I think working with your friends is I feel like it's a big hangout all the time. So yeah. I just want to know for the listeners what you guys do now, and then we'll take it back a couple of steps where you guys started. So what do you guys do now?
Yeah, so I always call myself a photographer first. I am one of the weird creatives that also likes the organization side of stuff, because usually people tend to lean one way or the other, but I'm definitely an artist and lean towards being creative first, but it kind of irks me whenever things are not organized. So I feel that's kind of what got me into the producing side of the world. And so for years, I've actually been doing producing work, but I never really called it that, which is weird, because I was always doing the organizing, and it kind of just landed in my lap, because either one, people didn't want to do it, or two, I just didn't trust that it was gonna, be
very tough
done. Yeah, up to my standard. And so, I produced all of his short films so far. And then with our clients that we've worked with in the past, have always just been the one that's been making sure that everyone knows where they're supposed to be and what time and all the budgeting and all that good stuff. But I mean, yeah, I do think that creativity and being able to be hands-on with shooting is definitely, it's cool to be able to see those two things like merge together.
Not a lot of people can do both. Like I've seen producers who just straight up just produce.
Yeah.
And producers don't know how to produce.
I feel like that would probably be like the more simple route to take. I think I just made my life complicated by wanting to be involved in both sides of
But
it.
it's definitely like, you know, you wear so many hats.
Yeah.
And also for so long that you didn't know like, oh, you can split this up.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of it is being able to join into projects whenever you want to be, like to be able to, I guess, have a more narrow goal. So whenever I want to do a personal project that's creative and out there, I can. But if I want to step into like wear my producer hat on a day, it's kind of nice to have the variety, but being able to just tackle one instead of having to do 30 jobs all at once, which is what I guess most creators can relate to. But that's like that's our entire history, just doing everything, like wearing all the hats. So yeah.
Like having that scrappy mentality and figuring it out as I feel like also a necessary skill.
Yeah.
That like people need to learn. And it's like I don't know if there's a word for it, but
it's like you have to put in your time.
Yeah, you just put some sweat in.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And yeah,
It's literally like her motto is like figure it out.
Yeah.
There's literally
I feel like I need that tattooed on my forehead.
like there's nothing like if you tell her I don't know if we can do that, I promise you she will find a way.
Stubbornness is what it really is.
that
It's being hard-headed and stubborn, like not taking no for an answer, because it's like I almost treat it as it's like I dare you to try and tell me no. It's like because I really will. I really do think it is just not like it's not an option to give up. It's like I will literally exhaust every possible option until we can like find a solution. Yeah.
We always have a thing that we've tried to fully delete the word can't out of our vocabulary. Like we'll never say we can't do something. Like we'll always find a way.
Because you can find a workaround to literally anything. Yeah.
Wow.
I believe that. Yeah. It might just take longer. It might take more hands.
Well, but a bit more money. Well,
true.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, we got pretty good at being broke for a while.
Yeah. I mean, we've made a lot of stuff for $0, but now it's
right. Yeah.
Now having capital for a project like, oh my gosh, we have the world.
Right.
It gives us so many possibilities. This is cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you, Justin.
So now, me. Now I'm branching more into the actual like directing side of things.
Okay.
Before I was like one-man band, kind of same thing, do it all myself, film, gaff, light, direct, do it all myself. But I've really over the past, I'd say probably like year, have loved telling the story, like getting behind like why are things happening like in the screen, like what's causing this like arc in the character, whether even if it's documentary or narrative. So the past year I've really been focusing on trying to direct more, trying to work out with talent on screen more. And like she said, we just finished my last short film that I wrote and directed, and it was a lot of fun. It was cool. And then our music video as well, which was very different for me because I've never worked with like an entire crew that I've never met before.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to like come in, write the treatment, write the vision, and then communicate that throughout the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
So
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So let's take it back a few steps. How did y'all get started, and how did y'all get to where you guys are now? Let's go with Justin this time then.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, so I have always wanted to be, I guess, in film ever since I was little. Like I used to want to act actually. When I was in, I probably like
you did some acting.
Yeah, when I was like 13, I was an extra in Spy Kids.
What?
Yeah, Idiocracy and Friday Night Lights TV show, first episode.
Spy Kids is one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
Spy Kids 3. I love Spy Kids. Yeah. So I was an extra in those.
3D one, but 3D.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like really little. Like I was probably like 12 or 13.
Oh my god.
But like seeing the camera work and seeing everyone behind the scenes like intrigued me so much. So that's when I started taking more of an interest in, cinematography and directing and everything. And I think around senior year in high school, my parents bought me a camera and I just started filming everything. Started really getting into it, learning editing, learning Final Cut 7 back in the day in like 2006 or 7. And then, ever since then, just shot everything from weddings, events, We had
literally everything.
yeah,
Here.
we had a photography business for a while and photographed babies and seniors and families.
Wow.
Just shot as much as we possibly could, and all the way to where we're at now, to where we're really starting to branch off into what we truly love to do. So for me, that's directing. And yeah, so it's just been a lifelong journey of learning and putting in the reps.
So cool.
Yeah.
What made you want directing specifically? Was there like, because I know you're also a cinematographer at heart, so
Man, it's kind of,
it's funny for me. It's so hard to step away from the camera. Like I need control.
yeah. I think at first it was kind of like I was young and I was like, oh, you can direct or you can act. You know, it's just like if you're behind the scenes, you're the director. So I didn't really like know. So as I like grew up and I learned, I don't know, like I thought that was like the only two options you could go. But now that I've done a lot of like cinematography and everything, gear used to excite me, and again, I used to love gear and I used to love lighting and lighting setups, but now it's just been like, man, like the change in story when you can actually like work with your talent and work with what's in front of the camera, like that's so exciting to me.
Wow.
Like when you go in and you just learn like, how come that line didn't sound that way? How would it sound if I were to like hear it out in the real world? So like working that back and forth is just like totally like,
yeah,
change my mindset on it.
I love that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Kirby, how did you get your start?
Yeah, so I've been shooting since I was a kid. I got my first camera when I was 15. And then ironically, so we have been together about since then.
Since
so
school.
We were like my first day as freshman year, we started dating.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, so it started as I was already into photography, he was into filmmaking, and we both kind of like had cameras and we were like, okay, we can be each other's assistants, you know, like back in the day. And so what changed the game for me was the first time anyone ever offered to pay me for a photo shoot. That was like a mind-blowing, because up until then I had only ever just
hobby.
Yeah, like taking pictures for fun. I would literally just shoot everything. And we're from a really small town where nothing, it's like has one stoplight and 3,000 people.
Wow.
Like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It's like,
And so like, it's funny because I would literally walk around my backyard and take pictures of trees and like the fence, like literally anything. So I think that I was doing high school senior photos for my friends that were older than me. So I was actually like a sophomore, junior. And then I think my first ever senior portrait session that I got hired for, I got paid, I don't know, like $50 or something. And yeah, it just opened my mind to the fact that I can make money doing this. And so from that point on, there was never a plan B. Like that was always it. Like something just like a flip switched in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was no looking back. So I just, I officially started that business, probably it'd be safer to say in college. And we started our portrait business.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we did that full time for about 8 years. But it was cool because a lot of people ask us about switching back and forth between being freelance versus like a salary job. But for us, being contract and freelance was always our base.
Yeah.
Like that was the norm. And it always just felt great to be able to say yes to the things that we were passionate about, no to the things that weren't a great fit for us. But yeah, I just never really stopped shooting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the full, it's just been like what, over 15 years of shooting now.
Version of it. Wow. Yeah, definitely. You guys are definitely like, I've been seeing a pattern because the previous episode we had Sean and Chrissy were a husband and wife duo too, and I'm like, now this is the dream, like having really as your partner. Like,
yeah,
it's either the dream or the nightmare, from what I've been told.
Well, yeah, some people we get asked all the time, like, how do y'all work together?
Yeah.
And I just think since we've always done it, well, that, and we learned how to kind of separate like husband and wife relationship versus like working relationship. And I think what really helped us was being able to, like, per project, say who's in charge of what. Because if it's a photo, like still project, that I would make all the final calls, and if we ever, which sometimes we don't agree creatively, like not always.
A lot of times we don't agree.
Yeah. So there used to be, it was a challenge. Like there'd be times that we would be like, no, it needs to be this way, especially when you're both passionate about what you're doing. But then on the flip side, on anything that's like film focused, he gets to make the final calls. Like I'm there to help facilitate and just be like an extra set of hands. So it helped a lot. Yeah.
Knowing when it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's an essential skill.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
When it's your turn, knowing when to speak up, when your input's valued.
Yep.
On set, especially.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that is something not a lot of people know.
Yeah. And I think it's also great
You need to catch it.
to recognize that, like, having that respect between us also, like you said, bleeds out into like any crew that you're working with, and knowing like, you know, what you're bringing to the table and what is your job and what's not, and being able to trust that everyone's there to do their job. So yeah, it's been a great learning process.
And there's times, you know, we'll bump each other and be like, hey, you sure you want to do that?
I'm grateful for that. I think that it's like we're super spoiled because, I mean, we can read each other's mind after doing it for so long, like shooting for so long together. And it's really hard because there's been, I mean, it's very normal. There's been times that literally I can like have the camera and look across the room and not say anything. And he can read my mind and be like, I know where she wants the light. Like the light needs to be like higher or more to the back, or like if I'm feeling it, he knows like, oh, this is good without seeing the camera. Or if I'm not feeling it, he can be like, nope, something's off. We need to readjust.
Like that, like deletes like 5 minutes of talking to someone. And that's why I always, like, as much as I can, bring everybody I know on set that I'm like, I know will do the utmost best that I can trust, and just
for sure
free fall on. Like,
yeah, I definitely don't take that for granted. I mean, I think that like I recognize every time we get to work together, I'm like, I can't believe that, you know, not only do we get to make art with our friends, but like we literally are like, our living is like we're best friends, you know. We get to just like hang out every day and make stuff we love, which is like the dream.
Wow. Yeah, it warms my heart so much.
It definitely is. Yeah, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not like, how do I get to do this, you know?
Yeah, like sometimes I'm like, is this a scam? Like,
I don't want to wake up from the street.
Right? Yeah, it's like, and I also feel like there's a lot of creators that complain, oh, I don't want to shoot weddings. We get to do this every single day, regardless of whether or not it's like a wedding or a commercial job. Like, we get to make art.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I think, anything after that is like a bonus.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy. I always tell them like, who like let us do that?
Just
like someone's gonna come in one day and be like, hold on.
It's like, I didn't go to film school. I didn't do none of that.
Yeah.
YouTube.
YouTube University.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. You guys were in the athleisure space for a little bit. Let's talk about that. Let's talk to me. That's very interesting to me. Like,
to me too.
Yeah.
That's a big part of our life. Yeah. Like a big part of our creative life. We've worked in the past 6 years with a brand called Alphalete, and shout out Christian, one of our best friends, awesome guy and awesome company. We started out, I would follow his YouTube like years ago because I saw that he was in the Sugar Land area now, and that's kind of like in the area we lived in. I was like, well, there's a YouTuber that lives here. So followed him for a couple of years, and he posted that he was looking for a videographer for Alphalete. So I was like, let me.
Well, there's like the beginnings of Alphalete.
Yeah.
Like 2018,
2019.
Okay.
So I just shot him a DM and I was like, hey, like, if you're interested, like, I'd love to come shoot some stuff for you. So we set up a little test shoot, and I was like, also, by the way, my wife does photos.
It would look in passing. I haven't even started Alphalete before. I was like, what?
Yeah, she had no idea what we were doing. I was like, also, if you ever need like photos, like, she can come and snap some photos for you. Little did I know that would like completely change our life.
Yeah.
And
we were living in Austin at the time.
Yeah.
And actually, both of us were really happy in Austin and didn't want to leave. I mean, like, we never even considered moving because we're from this area. But we had been in Austin just long enough to finally have a rhythm there and like have met some friends and kind of like, you know, get settled a little bit. And then all this happened. I'll never forget the very first shoot. We went, we met Christian and a lot of, at the time, like some of the OG athletes. And we did photo video. And I remember him being, my thing with photography is I love cinematic lighting and I love making super dark, moody. People see me, I think, defaulting like in a mostly male dominant industry. They see a girl and they're like, oh, she's a natural light photographer and she does like, you know, bright white, like wedding airy photos, which I can respect that, but that's not me at all. I love the like dark, cinematic, moody, more like masculine feeling stuff. And I think that it just kind of blew Christian away because we were using studio lighting and he was like, we've never seen people like use lighting outside before because we were shooting. And also in the fitness industry at the time, not a lot of people were using, honestly, no one was really using lighting because everyone was doing kind of trying to be incognito, like natural light at the gym because a lot of gyms didn't really let people do photo shoots.
Definitely not.
And so it kind of just, I remember leaving that shoot feeling so confused because I was like, I don't know if he loved it or if he was like not done. Because I didn't know. I didn't know anything about the influencer world or the industry or anything like that. But it turned out that he was like, okay, like this is something really special. But he did tell us, I remember him saying, I'm not going to ask you to move out of Austin and like to the Sugar Land area, but if you do, you'll have a lot of work. And I remember we talked about it and we were both kind of
That's a huge leap.
like, what's the worst that could happen? We just rent for a year. And if we hate it, we'll move back, kind of like, why not?
Well, I mean, I know you mentioned like faith stuff earlier, so I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
mention it now. But when we were in Austin, like I sent him, I was working up a reel like specific for him just to send it to him. And halfway through, I was like, like I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to leave Austin. Like I loved it here. And she was like, just do it. Like worst he can do. Like if he sees it and he likes it,
always say no.
just say no.
Yeah.
So like, okay, so I send it. He was like, I love it. Like let's set up the shoot. So we shot, came back, and after we got done working with him, I was like, like I don't know. Like I really don't want to leave. I really don't want to leave. So then he messaged.
That's nice.
It was so nice.
Something like that. We just weren't sure if that was like the space we wanted to be in.
Yeah.
We just felt like very uncertain.
Yeah.
And we'd like lived here our whole life. Like we grew up in the Houston area. And so it was like fun to like be somewhere else. And so after that, he was like, yeah, like which he told you, he's like, you don't have to move. But if you do, there'll be a lot of work. And I was like, man, like kind of like every excuse that I kept bringing up, God was like, just kind of moved it away.
Yeah.
And so like, it was so much so like a lot of people struggle with like hearing God's voice. It's like one of the first times that I can remember like hearing God's voice in that way, just like pushing us that direction.
Wow.
So
we kept trying to say like, no, because of this, no, because of this. And every single thing was like, oh, I'll fix that. I'll fix that.
Yeah. It just all got aligned perfectly. So we're like, you know what? Let's do it. Worst thing, we don't like it. We'll move back.
Yeah.
And been here for
took that risk
6 or 7 since. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It definitely, I mean, it was awesome to have someone that creatively aligned with us because Christian was one of the first clients I'd say that we didn't have to change our style for because so many people, I mean, creatives should be able to adapt to a customer and the client that they're working with. But it was kind of one of the first times that it wasn't someone saying, oh, I like your stuff, but do it this way.
Yeah.
He was like, no, like, I don't want you to change anything. I want you to do it your way.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think that was, I think that was huge for us. I mean, we were able to kind of just like take over the fitness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
athletic space.
Well, I feel like we created like a very unique look in the fitness space with like super dark, grungy, like a lot of haze and like gelled images, like in that world. But yeah, like started off just doing photos and video, and she worked her way up all the way to being the CMO of the company. Yeah. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. It was definitely a lot of, and even that, I mean, it was a personal journey for me as well, just kind of flipping back and forth between being on salary and office. Like I said, most people think that's the more like comfortable, stable route. But for me, it was the opposite. I'm way more familiar and comfortable with being freelance and contract. So being in office definitely felt like weird and out of the norm for me. Yeah. I've never loved the idea of like, we always joke about it, but like with salary jobs, you can go to work and you can do the bare minimum and get paid the same, or you can go above and beyond and get paid the same. And that was always so weird to me. I know that's very normal, but it was like, you're telling me, because as a contractor, it's like you can hustle and do shoots every day and like make as much as you want, or take a month off, and you get paid depending on like how much you're working.
You wanna exert,
And so that was always really strange. But we were both on salary for a little while with Outfleet, but for the most part, mostly contract, because we still worked with other clients and stuff throughout the years.
Yeah.
But then 2 years ago, Christian asked me to come back as the creative director to manage the marketing team. And I definitely am grateful that I took that because I learned a lot. Like managing a team and I definitely shot the least amount that I ever have because I was in like more of a management role and then moved up to being the CMO. And that was another one of those things that I was terrified every day. Everything was like it was like fighting against my default or my comfort zone.
Give me a camera.
Yeah. Not only that, but just doing things that I'm not comfortable doing. Like I'm normally,
she's a big people pleaser.
I'm afraid of confrontation by default.
Yeah.
And I was put in a position that every day was confrontation. Like not necessarily bad, but just that there's something that you're putting out fires every single day and having to have really difficult conversations with people nonstop. And so it's like something that I would like put my blazer on and like go in and be like, my heart would be like beating out of my chest. But then afterwards I'm like, okay, I did something today that a month ago I couldn't do, and then it just got, a little easier every single time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely skills that I'm grateful that I had to go through.
Growth that
Yeah.
like it stretches you so much, and
And
definitely.
it's stuff that I need now to be, even like as I'm learning more about the film industry and the producing side of just like productions in general, recognizing how important communication and decisiveness and all of these things, that these tools that I kind of learned in that situation.
You have to kind of adjust as a leader. You have to adjust how you speak to somebody, because they will take in and receive information totally differently.
Absolutely.
We were literally just talking about that on the car right up here. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and I mean, like all of those tools that she got from there, it's been awesome, because now relaying that into like she said, the film world, and like making these productions and everything like that, it's all kind of the same stuff that she was doing there, but now it's like a whole new world that's been open for her, which is
I'm super grateful that I did it, even though I was terrified.
I kind of saw you. We went with each other at a production workshop by Swamp, I believe.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
fun. My head was spinning.
So many things opened up in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, I might be doing this. I've been doing this the wrong way for like years.
Yeah. I told him when I came home from that, I was like, okay, when I went in, I didn't know that I didn't know anything, and I left, and I'm like, now I know that I don't know anything.
So at least now you have a direction.
I was like, I still know nothing, but at least I'm aware that I know.
Yeah, because at that point, when you guys were building the Alpha League, you guys were pretty much the ceiling. Like you were taking reins of like the direction. How was that? Talk to me the process of like how, like from year 1 to like year 5.
It changed so much.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it started with like literally, I remember that
there was like
year,
4 or 5 people in the whole company when we first started with Alpha League.
That first year, it was like me, Kirby, Christian, and another one of Christian's employees, like all in one tiny office. Like before Alpha Land,
we all shared one.
Yeah, we were all in like one room, like planning the Black Friday campaign.
This was a good old day, so it was fun.
It was so much fun. Yeah, we'd be up till 3 a.m. editing
trenches.
To where it was, or where it is now with Alpha Land, the 13-acre complex, 3 gyms. How many 40-something employees upstairs? I don't even know how many gym employees. To like, it's crazy. Like traveling the world with them, going to different events like the Olympia and all that.
Despite all of that, though, I do think that the way that we ran our productions stayed pretty similar. And I think, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's just because it's like what we knew and what we were familiar with. But like we had more hands, like in the sense of we had stylists. Like we weren't the ones we used to steam the clothes and like book the models, and we literally like did everything. And so having more hands is obviously helpful, to have assistants to help us move lights and stuff. But at the end of the day, it really was kind of just like I would come up with a concept, make a mood board, build the set, paint the backdrop, put the lights up, grab a camera, set up, like, I don't know. Yeah. And I think that I love operating like that. And I know that you can do way more when you have a team of people, but it's, I don't know. I think just because we did it for so long like that, I told you on our music video production, I was like, I have trouble. I have to like sit on my hands to like let people.
Yeah. I'm like, we got people, we got hands.
But I do think that that comes with just the more you do it, and the more that you surround yourself with people that are that you trust and that are amazing at their jobs, it gets easier and easier. But yeah, I think that other creators can probably relate to being a one-man band and being like, I don't even know how to let people help me,
Yeah, it's because I've been on a job where like literally the gaffer and the grip, I think someone who is not from that department was next to a light, and he could have pushed the button because the DP is like, oh, can you turn that off? But the gaffer had to come all the way to the other side of the room to turn it off.
All the formalities, right?
Yeah, like it's a totally different. Like.
And there's a reason that that's all in place. I totally understand that, depending on how much money is at stake and insurance liabilities and all that stuff. Yeah. So I definitely get it. It's just definitely a different world than the one that we've been operating in for so long. So it's interesting for sure. I think there's pros and cons to both sides.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily like a better way.
Yeah. Let's talk about Glow.
Oh,
where are we at? What's the vibe? What's the story?
So Glow was an idea. I haven't done a narrative film in 2 years. Last year, I took time to make a feature documentary about Christian, his competition and everything. So last year was pretty taken up with that. And I was like, you know what? I want to go back and do a narrative thing. So I was like, let me do something kind of simple base it around my house, and I've always wanted to do like a horror suspense genre thing. So it's not scary at all. But I was like, let me just write something. There might be a jump scare in there. So yeah, I wrote it. It's a 4-page script, and I guess it's just so dense that it ended up being a 10-minute movie.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's coming out in 6 days from today. So on October 1st, that's when we're gonna drop it on YouTube. And right now, shout out to Dan Diaz. He's coloring the whole thing for me, but it's really cool. It was literally like a labor of love. Just like all of our friends came together. They all like stayed the night at our house for the weekend, and we made like a little 10-minute short film. And I'm really happy.
Felt like
with
summer camp.
it. It really did. Yeah, I think like that was the funnest that anyone has ever had. Like we still have a group chat going right now that's like every day we're just sending memes and sending like funny stuff that happened on set. But yeah, it was an awesome experience. It was the first time that I've ever brought on a DP and I didn't run the camera myself.
Yeah, because usually director DP.
Yeah, usually director DP, and
I guess out of necessity, not really by choice.
Yeah, and it was so like, in my opinion, you can really see the difference in the performance from my last short film to this one. I think because I was able to sit and actually work with the actors, whereas last time I was like, okay, is it in focus? Is everything in frame? Okay, action. Cool, got it. Let's move on.
You're so much more focused on composition and lighting, I think, in both of the last two than you were on the story. And the reason, you could talk more about like why you wrote it, but his goal for the film was to be able to kind of tell a story within a story, and work with the actors on being able to tell kind of like an underlying message without being like so blatant and obvious, without just like coming out and saying it, which is really hard to do until you've like done it, like practiced with it a bit. But I think you did a really great job. I'm excited for it to come out.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for people to see it. I wanted it to come out for like Halloween time. You know?
Yeah, October 1st is like a fun, like fall date.
Yeah,
so cool.
It was like the two main things was like I wanted to tell the story of there's just two actors in it, so husband and wife. I wanted to tell the story of them and the strain in their relationship without just like coming straight out and saying it. And then I also wanted to practice suspense and a jump scare. So put a jump scare in there, just to see how like I would shoot it and how I would go about doing that. Because if the time ever came where I got hired for a feature or something like that, I just want more tools. Tool belt.
And you're already prepared for it when the call comes.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to be showing up and be like, oh man, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's your first time.
Yeah, I want to like practice on my own first.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the common theme that we've had for this season's guests. Like, be prepared already, so when a call comes, it's not your first merry-go-round.
Not as frazzled.
The next goal is a comedy.
Okay, so you were trying to hit all. I want to
say that he's at least like got his feet wet a little bit. Yeah,
I've done like a fight scene, but I want to do a proper like action film and a comedy. And I think after those two, like
you kind of have hit like you kind of had like a drama, like fantasy, thriller.
Yeah.
You're definitely missing like.
I'll be ready for Rush Hour. Where's for fun?
It's a more forward.
Flipping eight.
Yeah, I don't. He'll survive in this. Yeah. But do you also work on the films that like he works?
Yeah. So I've produced all of them. So my job was to make sure we were on track with budget, organizing the all the call sheets, and casting. It's interesting because the casting for this one, because of scheduling conflicts, both of them we were going to put in our previous film, and it didn't work out because of like travel and stuff. And then we were able to put them in this one, but just being able to organize like running through lines beforehand, and I kind of like I said before, we definitely were missing a lot of roles in this because we didn't have a gaffer or a grip or an AD. So I played all of those roles too.
I love that.
But I also did BTS photos. I made the poster. I designed the like logo, like all the
everything. Literally, the film wouldn't happen without her. We're all just a bunch of degenerates just sitting around like sitting on our hands, and she gets us.
I definitely keep things moving. But I mean, just holding people accountable with timing and being the bad, I say the bad guy, being the person that's like, okay, I know that y'all could run this 10 more takes, but we have to move on, or we're gonna film until the sun comes up.
Yeah. Because we want to, there's always the next shot, and the next shot that like we'll get on next take. Yeah. Next take.
Done is better than perfect. That's the
I think
that's the phrase. I don't know.
Get it on the next film.
Like originally, it wasn't me. I'm not going to take credit, But I've heard people say that, and it's so true, because you have to, if you try to be a perfectionist and find like nitpick every little thing, then you'll never finish anything as an artist, because our expectations are all really high. So
And our taste also just keeps growing. Sometimes our skill can't catch up yet, but like we just gotta get the next one,
right?
Yeah.
Or else we will never put stuff out.
Exactly.
In the world. Yeah. So that's great. That's awesome. Let's see. What else can I ask you guys?
You've been a great host, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's been awesome. Let's talk about, because I want at always some point during the interview, I always like, what are practical steps that like our listeners can take? Like, how do you do it? Like, I know you're still kind of in between solo and now you're moving into the space where like it's niched down.
Yeah.
How do you get to make that jump? Like,
man, so like, I don't know that I know the right answer to that.
Yeah.
But my approach that I'm doing, because I'm in the middle of that right now, is just to like do it, like just to go meeting people like you and jumping on these projects like in the job that you want to do, or like finding someone that you can shadow that's in that job that you can mimic into doing that. So like with Kirby, going to the workshops, the producing workshops, meeting other producers, meeting other directors, and just really like figuring that out.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy. I find that it's very easy to just like take whatever job, because like obviously we need to eat, we need money, we need stuff to survive, and you want to take everything. But I believe that in the long run, if you just keep your focus on what you want to do, then the rest will fall into place.
And also like what you're putting out on your social and your portfolio is what you're gonna get, because that's what you're showing people.
Yeah.
So if you want to direct, put out director reels.
Yeah. Which is hard, man. Social media is like a whole nother thing.
We could do like a 2-hour podcast just on social media.
Yeah, but literally, like, it's so hard because we live in this time right now of short form content where everyone's like, we were just talking about how it is almost more popular to be seen doing what you do than the actual product that you're putting out there.
BTS is like popping up right now.
Yeah,
like
it's all it is. And I am like, I don't know, I guess I'm just like one of those starving artists where it's like, I just want to be appreciated for my art, like, oh, really, no one cares to see how I do it. Like, they just want to, like, I want people to appreciate the art that we're putting out there. So it's a very like big adjustment right now to figure out how to navigate social media.
Because even a short film, it takes the length of preparing for that and production and then post-production. How long conception to like shooting to like now that you're picture log?
This one, I spent a long time. So I probably went through 10 different drafts of the script. So I think I finished the first draft around March, and I was going to shoot it in April, but we had we were remodeling our house and had like a lot going on in our life. So I had to put it on hold until August. But through that time, I rewrote it about 10 different times, and then went through, did all the pre-production, built the prop for it. So I would say like actual pre-production probably spent about 2 months, really nailing down locations, prop, music, casting, wardrobe, everything.
Makeup.
And then production was about 3 days, right?
Yeah.
3 days.
It was originally going to be 2, but we added an extra Yeah.
And my post-production process is a little different. Like I'll go immediately and I'll just like finish the whole film, but then I'll take a week off to where I don't look at it, don't think about it. And I'll come back with like a fresh eyes and kind of.
And then he is like, I hate it.
Yeah.
I should give up.
I hate our
life.
I was shooting
You're like, oh, it's
you're
great.
Do all this whole cycle of grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'll come back and fix it and tweak it more, take a little bit more time off. I don't know why I'm like that, man. I take time off and I come back on it.
Normal.
Yeah, because every time I do, I come back with like fresh ideas, or if there's like a problem I get hung up on, I can always like, I just need time usually. Like, let me just.
But I feel like more creators should talk openly about like feeling like it's okay to sometimes hate what you made.
Yeah.
I mean, because like we always talk about reminding each other that feelings aren't facts. So it's like, just because you feel this way today doesn't mean that the art you made is actually trash. It's like you have such a biased like perspective of something that you made. So I think that it's like sometimes if you give yourself a couple of days and come back to it, you might have a completely new appreciation for something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like people are just expected, and social media has a lot to do with this too, but just expected to be like, oh, every single thing I create is a masterpiece and I love it and it's the best work I've ever made. And it's like every project that you do is supposed to outdo the last one. I just don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's, I think that's like just setting yourself up for failure and just to be in your head about everything that you make. Yeah.
Yeah, like this one, I had those two goals, you know, was to like tell the story of the couple and to or add suspense into it. And I think I did that. So to me, that was a success. So whether the film's good or not, you know, it's like, that's, like I had a small goal. And I think each project, if you keep yourself having small goals that you can work towards.
And keeping your goal at like the forefront is super important, because it's like if you went into it with that goal and you achieved it, but then you come out of it on the other side and you're like beating yourself up for stuff. It's like, wait, that wasn't, you know, the goal wasn't to like win an award. It's like the goal was this, like focus on like why you made it to begin with. So yeah.
But to answer your question, post-production is taking about a month.
So you guys can do the math. Like if it's a 10-minute film, so about 3 months, I would say 3-4.
Yeah, about 3
so
months.
It's like your 2-hour movie that you will just watch.
Gaps between.
Yeah. There was some big gaps, and I mean, the both of us, we did a lot of it. So like, if you have a team, obviously those things can
be more efficient.
And I don't know. I think like sometimes I can get, you know, the paralysis by analysis type thing going on. Like I'll overthink things a lot, and that'll cause me to like stop. So, but yeah, the last film was actually that I did. The one before this one was a 12-minute film, and from the point of the last draft when I wrote it to it being done was 2 weeks. So like, I wrote it, did pre-production, like production, and post-production within 2 weeks. So that's, I think, why I swung so far the other way on this one, because I really wasn't happy with that one. So like, let me slow things down and figure out like what I did. So
we kind of just bulldozed.
Yeah, that one was about, I think, 2.5 weeks from pre-production to post-production. It was crazy. Yeah.
Learning what not to do.
What's next for you guys? I know you said you're wanting to work in a comedy next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's other things? What are on the pipeline that we can look forward to?
So for me, I actually just telling her like 2025, like I'm setting goal to start working on a feature. So my first feature, narrative feature. And I think like now that I've done several short films, I'm kind of ready to take that next step into practicing doing longer form storytelling. So that's like going to be my big focus, is writing a couple of features. And I want to have I have 2 or 3 ideas that I just want to get out there, like put it on paper, get it out of my head, and then figure out which one's most feasible to shoot within 2025. But yeah,
that's awesome. I think you're already like on, just from the screenshots and like from the stuff I've seen on Instagram or from the Glow Instagram. If you haven't followed Glow Instagram, y'all need to.
Glow the short.
Glow the short. Like
Glow the short.
The frames are so sick, and the DP is from Austin.
Yeah, Ian.
Yeah, and he's
incredible. Yeah,
incredible.
And Ozzy was our first AC, and then Andy was our he ran our sound. I think we had a really small crew.
Yeah,
it was like sound, focus puller, camera up, and then us.
Yeah. And Todd and Andrina were our talent.
Yeah.
Todd is originally born and raised in Houston, but he lives in California now, and Andrina is a Houston local. So
wow,
it's cool to have a Houston-based crew. Yeah. Except for Ian, he's got to be one of the weirdos.
That's awesome that he drove down here for that.
Yeah, he was awesome, man. I told him, I was like, man, I can't pay you for this one, but if you want to do it, like, I would love to have you. And he was fully down. He was like, absolutely, like, I want to come.
Because he wanted to practice the narrative. It was his first narrative thing to ever shoot, ever.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really cool, because it's like, that's what I was going to say earlier when you were asking about making the leap from being like a one-man band to working with the team. It's just like finding the right people, because like you can have, you know, a team of 20 that if you aren't on the same wavelength or communication style, it's like almost more work than just doing it yourself. But if you have the right people that you trust, that are amazing, and that bring something to the table, that even that challenge you and challenge your ideas, I feel like that's when you're like kind of unstoppable. Yeah.
And did you know Ian personally already, or
so?
It's another Instagram.
Yeah, can like, again, same thing with you, but with Ian and I think we talked for maybe 2 years on Instagram.
Okay.
Never met each other, and then I hit him up for the film and drove out to him to meet him out in Austin, and just hit it off again. Another musician.
Wow. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's like one thing. Like, people are so scared to reach out. Dude, just reach out. Like, it doesn't really matter.
There's like real people on the other side of Instagram, like
living, breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And just take that leap of faith, you know, like you create something great.
Yeah.
Like, so
I mean, and like even more than the projects you work on, like our friendship and like Ian's friendship and everything like that. It's like you meet these people, and to me, like that's what it's about. It's just like meeting people, creating friendships, and just doing this thing together. We all don't know what we're doing. Yeah. So at least we can all.
If you leave your ego at the door, then like everyone just has a really good time. Like I feel like whenever people don't try and, you know, they don't walk into a room trying to impress.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, here's all my.
yeah.
Here's all my accomplishments.
You'll a lot more. You're trying to prove, you know, so then improve.
It's like you can walk in and be confident, you know, that you're bringing stuff to the table, but at the same time, like not trying to. I just think that we all have so much to learn from each other, and even there's people who have only been doing this for a year that I've been shooting for 15 years, and I can still learn from someone that like just picked up a camera.
Yeah.
And I think that if you keep that attitude like across the board, it does create a more healthy, and like the connections with our creative community are so much better. Than people that come in and they, you know, try to be like,
like I know it all.
like
Yeah,
no one can teach me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I always tell like listeners, like my ethos is like always have a good vibe on set. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
Like you're there to do a job, be professional. But if you're not having fun, then you're missing the point. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's like we get to do this.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's have fun while we're doing it.
Where can people find you guys on social?
My Instagram is my name at Kirby Betancourt. Kirby like the video game.
And mine is Justin Betancourt, at Justin Betancourt. Justin like Bieber.
That's a great one. Yeah, they won't be able to tell. Like, just gotta make sure it's the right one.
Everyone remembers her name because it's super unique. Everyone forgets mine.
I used to hate my name as a kid, but I love it now because it's easy to remember. A lot of people get thrown off with like spelling, surprisingly. You wouldn't think in Houston because there's like Kirby Drive everywhere.
Yeah,
But usually when I do the video game reference, they're like, oh, like Kirby Street
right.
Band.
But that's awesome. I love the Houston hat too. That's so cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for, you know, coming to the studio and like letting us in your lives. And I hope everyone at home, and if you're listening to the podcast, that you got something from this episode. And yeah, we're here at Set Life. I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.